back, everybody. So a lot of people might talk the talk of inclusion without the effective action to back it up. So what does truly authentic, inclusive representation look like? So we're happy that our friend, social entrepreneur Nicole Antoine, stuck around for this conversation and more.
And we're also happy to welcome a new guest who is an entrepreneur and founder of Le Code Switch, specializing in inclusive communication. Daniella Etienne, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
So Daniella, you work at the Federal Anti-Racism Secretariat. You also started a business that focuses on inclusive marketing and communication. So can you tell us about Le Code Switch and what you're hoping to achieve with the work that you do there?
Sure. I mean, when I think about the why I started this, as a Black woman with Haitian parents who immigrated to Montreal in the 70s, my why is multi-layered, but essentially I want things to change. Like, I think it's high time that things change. And most importantly, I mean, I see a lot of decision makers deciding how I, as a Black woman, am seen in marketing, how I'm perceived, how I'm judged by society. So with the Code Switch, I saw an opportunity to really work with clients to show them how to bridge that gap, how to center the voices and lived experiences of racialized people throughout Canada.
And language is in the middle of your work, a lot of it. And as marketers, what are some of the ways that language should be used to reflect the realities that you speak of Black communities more authentically here in Canada?
I always say, you know, language can shape how we see various communities. So it's really, really important that we get it right. And when we speak about Black communities specifically, there isn't a singular experience. So there are various voices, there are various ways of representing us in the way that we look, through imaging, through language. So it's important to recognize as well that in order to be authentic, we have to engage Black communities throughout the process, ongoing, in an authentic way for that to be meaningful.
Mm-hmm. So true inclusive representation means understanding that cultures are diverse and rich within themselves, right? Especially with Black communities. So there is more diversity within groups than there is between groups, which I really want to unpack that. How do you see that unfolding here in Canada? Nicole?
That's an interesting question because for a long time, I've been curating spaces for Black communities without really taking into account what do we really look like? What are our shared and unshared experiences? And this idea of Blackness being monolithic, you know, this idea of intersectionality makes for a very complicated, I'm trying to find the right word, but very complicated task for not only myself, but other organizations to really see us and hear us. Like, what are you actually seeing? What are you actually hearing? Because our stories are diverse, you know? Our stories is not just one. And now I'm really doing the work in ensuring that intersectionality and the problems, but yet the beauty behind it are amplified.
Absolutely. So listen, inclusion and visibility, this is a lot more than just like, you know, casting somebody in like a commercial or an ad. I mean, that is, you know, quite frankly, performative, perhaps tokenism. So Daniella, what does it take to actually make that leap into perhaps the boardroom, or what I like to call those high stakes positions where change really happens and then authentic inclusivity happens?
Right. I like that question a lot. So I always say nothing about us without us for us. That's what's authentic. Like, that sentence in itself means that if you want to authentically have Indigenous peoples, Black people, racialized people to be part of your marketing campaign, your materials, you have to center their voices and lived experiences at the start of it all, engage through the process. And 9 times out of 10, I've found that if there is no diversity in a team, chances are that the content is going to be problematic because there aren't voices represented at the table. So that's what I do through my company, is really finding a way to bridge that gap and form those relationships for the clients that want to have inclusive marketing.
And Nicole, you differentiate between work being intentional and integrated into your life. What do you mean by that?
I'm on a journey, let me call it out. People think because I'm Black, I know all the answers, or I can speak on this topic, speak on that topic, but I can't necessarily. I'm going through the content like everybody else. I'm doing the research, I'm understanding. I have to have intention, and I have to be thoughtful when I show up in the morning, when I congratulate a friend, when I support someone, et cetera, et cetera. So with that intentionality, I'm hoping in my journey that it becomes integrated and woven in my subconscious, that I just wake up like this. Like, I don't have to double think or like scurry around certain things. I understand the concepts. I understand my values. I understand my identity. That's the long journey that I'm on, and we're all on this journey, right? And it's not something that's gonna happen overnight, and there needs to be some empathy with that journey that we're on, you know what I mean? And to understand that our identity is complex.
Mm-hmm. And that work is not easy. It can probably be quite exhausting, taxing. So in between doing this work and then protecting your own mental health, how's that experience been like for both of you?
It's kind of hard to separate the work and my identity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I show up to things or present at things or give a POV of things, and I'm confronted with who I am, whether I'm comfortable in my skin. I know I'm going to be confronted with how I'm being perceived, and I can't necessarily turn that off. And I think, Daniella, you speak so passionately about this idea of not having to, or the extra work that we need to do as Black women. I don't want to take your words from you, but could you kind of like...
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know that it's extra work per se, but like you said, rightfully so, I can't separate the fact that I'm a Black woman from the experiences that I have. So whether that's showing up in a space, whether that's how people perceive me in a space, the systemic inequities that are built in for me as a Black woman follow me through every area of my life, unfortunately. So how do I balance the mental health aspect? I guess, maybe hopefully finding safe spaces with people that I can maybe unpack some of this stuff when it gets really heavy. I know Nicole's been great at that. We've been having great conversations about stuff, and just finding someone that you can unpack some of this with, because it's heavy. You're right.
This is a beautiful conversation. Thank you both for sharing. Thank you so much.
Hey there, wasn't that great? Do you know where you can find some equally good content? Our YouTube page. It's filled with discussions, debates, and some laughs. Head there now, like and subscribe.